Welcome to Project Brupeg. My name's Damien. We've got to do a 2,500 kilometre round trip in our ute, so we're going to do some work on that to make sure she's safe. We've got Dangar Stu from Dangar Marine up for the weekend. We're going to get Jess's 3-wheeled off-road wheelchair up and running. We're also going to do some installation in Brupeg's roof in the lounge. And finally, whilst we're in Sydney, we're going to go and check out Stu's new trawler. He's doing a rebuild on that, and we're quite keen to see how he's getting on with it. So I had to get some new tyres chucked on the truck the other day, and while it was up on the hoist I asked the guys if I could have a quick look at the brakes. Had a look at them, they seemed alright, except the handbrake on this thing wasn't working, it wasn't holding the truck. So I had a good look at the drum brakes on the back end, and one of them was fine. The other one, the axle seal had gone, so it had thrown oil, diff oil, all over the brakes, and therefore they weren't working. So today we're going to pull the axle out of one side of the back end of this truck. We're going to replace the diff seals on the outer axle, and potentially replace, we're definitely going to replace the brakes, and we're potentially going to replace the wheel bearing on one side. Just depends if I can get it off with the tools that I have. So yeah, let's get into it. We'll do some car mechanicking. What my plan is today, we're going to pull the back wheels off. I'll replace the brakes, I'll pull the axle out potentially, and we'll replace the axle seal on this side. First step, we'll crack all the wheel nuts off, and then we'll jack this thing up in the air so that we can start working on it. It's easier to crack the wheel nuts off when the car's still on the ground. That way you don't have the wheel trying to spin and having to hold it. In this case it won't, because the brake's not really great on this side. Now, I don't have a power bar, so I'm going to do this trick here. If a mechanic tells you that this is a terrible thing to do and that they've never done it in their life, they're lying. That's how you turn a regular ratchet into a power bar. And everyone harps on about it being bad, but I've never ever broken a ratchet by doing this, and I've done this countless amounts of times. And if you do break a ratchet by doing it, it was going to break anyway. Alright, let's go to the other side. You got a tyre in the way like this, crack your jack off over to the side, and it makes life a heck of a lot easier. Alright, that'll do. They're all off the ground. There we go. Right, I don't have any axle stands, so I'm going to use some hardwood blocks that they sit trawlers on. Right, let's do a bit of a, yeah, safe enough. So first couple of things you want to look at, when you take your brakes off, feel if there's any ridges in there, use your fingernail. If there's no ridges, that's good to go. We'll give it a sand up later with some emery paper. Let me show you what we've got in here. So for those that don't know cars that great, there's a bit of anatomy. So this is your axle. So this goes all the way through into the center of what's called the diff, and this basically is what transmits the power from the engine to the wheels. These here are your brake shoes, and this is your wheel cylinder. So normally if things fail on this, it's brake shoes that wear out, and then it's things like your wheel cylinder, which it goes in and out and pushes the brake shoes in and out. This here can leak fluid, and then you end up with a spongy brake pedal, and you end up with fluid all over your brake shoes, and they don't really work that great. In this case, none of those things have happened. The brakes are still, there's plenty of material left on the brakes. The wheel cylinder itself I think is okay, but there's lots of grease and garbage around inside here, and it's because the seal that's in behind all of this has failed. So we'll strip all of this off, and we'll get to where that seal is and see what's going on. Spring that sits across here that pulls these two brake shoes in together, so you got to take that off. Alright, so this is an adjuster setup, so it's just a piece of threaded rod, nicely lubricated because of all the grease, which is great. But this is how you adjust the handbrake. So by moving this in and out, depends on how far out you pull the handbrake before it starts to bite. That off, one shoe, little spring down the bottom that holds the two shoes together, and this final shoe is held on by the cable that does the handbrake. So this spring here has a steel cable inside it. So you just need to slide the spring back and then take it off the little, it's like a little hook type arrangement, and then you're good to go. Once you've got it stripped down like this, you've got 4 bolts. You've got one in here, one there, one down the bottom here, and then one on the other side. What we need to do on the inside over here, you can see that it's a wee bit hard with the light, but you can sort of see there's the corresponding nuts. So we need to take those nuts off, and then those 4 studs come out. This plate here then allows us to take the wheel bearing and the axle out. At the back of the axle, and you can see that there's a brake line coming up, working its way up with a little 10mm bolt. So, 10mm nut. So you need to crack that off, and that's what's dripping down the back. You can sort of see that liquid there. That's basically brake fluid dripping down. So we'll do a bleed of the brakes when we put all this back together. But yeah, we have to take that off in order to get the wheel bearings out. Hey, there we go. So this is your axle. So you've got a spline that sits within your diff itself and goes into the actual hub that converts the longitudinal drive into, I don't know, sideways drive, whatever that word is. Rotation, we'll call it. All right, and then you've got your wheel bearing sitting over the back there. So that wheel bearing is a sealed unit, doesn't actually need grease, but it potentially has contact with grease. So what we're gonna do, we'll strip that down, and then over here, that thing that's dripping, that's our brake line, and then that there is that's that black seal that you can see. That's the seal that we need to replace to stop the oil from pissing out all over the brakes. Our wheel bearing sits behind us like a sleeve with a circlip that holds the whole thing together. So I need to take that circlip off, slide the sleeve off, and then get our wheel bearing out. I don't know how easy it is to get this wheel bearing out. I'm probably going to have to do some version of pressing it out, which is going to involve a sledgehammer because I don't have a press. And then there's a rubber seal that sits behind it, and I'm pretty sure it's that rubber seal that's failed. So first step, let's get this all apart and see if we can figure it out. Coincidentally, Ed and Debbie were sailing north, and they stopped into the marina and gave us a hand for the day. So this is our makeshift press. We're relocating the workshop, so we've been bashing this on gravel on top of hardwood, and it seems to be bouncing, so we're going to try and do it on some cement, see if we can get a little less movement.
Is that okay? Yeah.
That's right.
Whoa, I believe it's moving.
Yep. Hey. We have a winner.
Alright, cool. So these are our parts. Hey!
How's that?
And that's our seal out. So putting the new seal in. So just in dry, it's a rubber seal going into a steel housing.
That's pretty damn good right there.
Right, so we've got our new wheel bearing, our new seal. Now we need to slide our axle in, and we're gonna bolt everything up and use the bolts to press everything together.
You're gonna beat the...
Yeah. So now we just need to hook up our handbrake cable, which we removed earlier.
Put the hook on this, or the spring in the hole.
Yep.
Then pry it in.
There we go. Oil seal sorted on the diff. So now we're going to do an oil change and give this old girl a birthday. Hey! How you doing, man? How are you?
Good, mate, good.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Yeah. Here we are. Yes,
Yeah.
good.
Get there.
Yeah.
That was drive up. Yeah. Yes.
Hey Jess, how are you?
It's the weekend. We're about to kick off some work, and Dangar Stu arrives. So he's up here for the weekend.
Is about coming. Oh, what am I going to say? What am I doing? Visiting.
Today's video is about someone else doing the hard work
Yeah.
on a boat that I don't have to pay for.
Hey there, Dangar.
Yeah, we'll do the chair, we'll do the water tanks, at least 1 of 2 today, and installation. That's okay.
Are you going to do the sifting as
Sand
well?
sift?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get time, you'll probably need to do that first stuff, just in case it gets wet.
Yeah, all right. Let's do
It's
it.
only going to be 5 minutes, it's just 2 buckets. So we've got a bit going on this weekend, so Rolling Thunder, she's back up and running. Fixed a couple of holes in the mesh. I'm going to sieve up a bunch of sand before it rains to get that safe and dry. Stu, over the back, is sorting out Jess's off-road chair. So we're going to... So we're going to lift up... where are we? We've got this block of alloy that we're putting there, we've got to lift it up, the chair, so it has a bit of an angle, otherwise it's a bit too upright. And as you can see, this is a chair out of a hill climb car, and clearly we're going to be doing some jumps and rally driving in this car, so we need the appropriate seating.
We're just putting a block of aluminium here to change the angle of the seat on Jess's off-road cart.
Damien's going to pressure test another one of his tanks today. It takes a while to fill up with water, so we're just going to get the hose running now.
So I need to go down into the cofferdam and throw some bungs. I've got just some 1/2-inch ball valves, which is, to me is a bung. I'm going to basically jam up the little 1/2-inch fittings that I welded into the wall a while back. I need to block them up, obviously, because if I put water in the tank, it's going to come flying out those holes. Do you want to come in?
Go and have a look, baby.
The trick that I was told in the comments.
Yep. They're always handy comments.
Yeah. So I was basically pressurizing it, and I had this system here where water would come in and would rise. I'd draw a line, and then
Yep.
I'd pressurize it and lift it up.
Yep.
Whatever.
Oh yeah, yep.
Now I say that's one way to do it, but I was saying a better and more effective way is to put a fitting into your water pipe filler.
Filler, yep.
Put a piece of pipe onto it and just lift it up, and then mark, like, I think it was, I can't remember what it was, for every so many inches there's 1 PSI. On you go. Yeah,
The right height.
yeah, I just need to put a mark at
Mark it
600,
there, yep.
and then wherever that sort of sits, so there's 600 there. So we'll just put a permanent marker around there.
So no compressed air at all with this system?
No, with this system there's no need for it.
Cool.
So we figured out, in order to get 2 PSI as minimum to test this tank, we want 2 PSI basically on the at the deck head, so as high up in the top of the tank as we can get, and whatever PSI it's going to be at the bottom, then that's what it's going to be. We've done the calculations. We need to go up 1.4 meters in our pipe, and that gives us 2 PSI at the deck level, and then the tank itself is 8.5 feet tall, so we calculated that, and it's going to end up with 5.68 PSI right at the bottom, so plenty of pressure in order to test, and all of the fittings are right down the bottom anyway, so where it's high pressure at the bottom, we haven't, I was actually tell a lie, I was going to say we haven't done any modifications up on the top, but that's not true. We've actually put a whole bunch of new pipes in, so there's going to be quite a bit of testing to go. So there's a gap between the top of the tank and the deck where I'm about to fill it from of 80 centimetres, or 800 millimetres. So I need to take that into account. So I only need to come up from the deck 600 millimetres in order to achieve 2 PSI at the top of the tank and 5.68 at the bottom of the tank. This is our rig, so it's basically just a piece of 1.25 inch pipe that's plugged into a hose tail fitting. You can see we've just screwed it into the filler neck, and then we've just looped it over the side of the rail. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. We don't need to cut it to have it vertical or anything like that. We just need to get the height right. So I'm going to use my pointing foot. The height 600 mil is about here somewhere. So we'll measure up, we'll put a permanent marker around where it has to go, and then that holds our tank at pressure. We can leave it there for as long as we want.
I'll grab it if you like.
Yeah, you can grab it. Yeah, save a bit of time.
Because even if you get up there, there's a chance you'll the weight of the hose.
It'll get up there and then come all the way down. We've narrowed it down to aiming for the boat that we have.
Well done.
Nice.
What a team.
Alright, this is my water jamming system. It's working fine. Yeah, sweet, so let's leave it.
So, on more? Or?
Yeah, on full. And let's
Check it for square against something. But
this one here.
Give it a go.
I'm just going to
You'll be
slip
right.
either if it works, it works.
This thing, you gotta cut it off again. Wow, it's sort of lowy.
We finished off the race seat mounting on Jess's off-road wheelchair, so here she is down here, it's all bolted up. Our tank filling's going pretty well. So, see if we can tell it. So you might be able to just see the level, just up on my finger there. It's been filling for, I don't know, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, something like that. So we've got, where are we? Okay, so we've got just under a metre to go before that tank's full, so that's at least an hour's worth of filling, because it does take a while. So sand's all done as well. So this is the last lot of sieve sand that we've made.
And then we went and did a big tour of Survive, which is the other island, the Pear Island, which is beautiful. It's a real volcanic island, white sand, lots of lava flows still you can see just where it's set, and it hasn't really become soil or anything yet.
Is this, where's my share? How about 1p? Would that suffice?
Mildly disappointing.
What about the rest?
Okay, good man, eh? Good man. We'll see how long a p lasts. We're not laughing at you, darling. We're not. We're not. No.
Come here.
Oh, we cutie. Come on, baby.
Come on. Oh.
What is it?
No idea. Should probably go and find out.
Where's the water at?
I don't know.
Synchronised standing.
So the new stainless filler neck that I welded in has a pinhole leak over the back, so we'll get into that and fill that up with weld. So this is the bottom of the cofferdam. These are the fittings down here that we were testing, so that one just there and the one with the ball valve on it as well, and they are bone dry, which is absolutely awesome. So the other thing we need to test is underneath this access port, and that's completely dry as well. So yep, everything seems to be working awesome. Okay, so the plan, we're going to go and start insulating the lounge. It's a bit of a grey old muggy day. We're heading away down, what are we doing? We're doing 2,500 kilometres trip there and back in a couple of days, so we're sort of packing the boat up ready to go down on this trip. So we'll show you a bit of that as well. But what we're going to do in the meantime, while Stu's up here, we're going to try and belt out the roof in the lounge and get that insulated. So one of the things we're finding, so it's a real nightmare having to reset the depth of the saw over and over. So we've got this saw set up to cut about, I don't know, 65 mil, something like that, and it cuts through just the full 60 mil panel. And then we have to cut slots out. So this is a panel that I've got to do now. You can sort of see I've just started, but I have to cut basically 10 mil out on these panels and right up in the corners. I'll show you what that means in a sec. But what the plan is, in order to cut essentially 10 mil, we've set the depth of this so you can just see the blade is 10 mil out from the bed. So this is what we're left with. After we've cut the jig, you can sort of see, if we can show you that way, you can sort of see we've basically just shaved 10 mil off the surface, and that allows us to slot it in. There's a beam that runs down here, and it only has 50mm clearance, so this is 60mm panel. I reckon that'll work.
When you do your second layer, is there going to be a ceiling over it? Or are you just going to see the insulation?
No, there'll be a roof over it. It'll
Right.
be like a plywood roof or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So as long as it's blocked in there.
Yeah, if it's jammed in, it's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Without too much of a gap here. Oh, of course, because we've still got the hinge here.
You're up against it. Oh no, yeah, just and then give it herbs in, and you should be good to go.
Right.
While Stu was up from Sydney, he did a tour of Brupeg. He ended up doing a video on the whole thing. There's a link to that in the corner.
Stu has the dog mesmerised with a shoulder rub. Happy pooch.
If you're ever wondering what it takes to run a YouTube channel, this is an inside scoop on what's required to make editing work. There's Dangar Stu and there's Jess. Both of these things are fueled by coffee and biscuits. The next morning we got up and we headed off to Sydney.
Sunrise. Driving from Bundaberg to Brisbane and on to Sydney.
Standing underneath the lights, looking into each other's eyes.
We're just heading to one of our favourite places when we lived here for food.
Snowflakes are coming down. Cruising to
Yeah, I know,
the
pup.
sound of
I'll be
empty
back in a minute.
streets. Yesterday has gone to sleep.
Right,
That's left.
and we're off. So in front of us, that army-looking Jeep thing, that's Joe. Ah! He just passed us and gave us away.
We left before him and he's beaten us.
Yeah.
Let our minds be caught up in a dream.
So it's about 6 o'clock at night. Jess and I have been driving since 4:20 AM. I don't know what that is, 14 hours or something. And We're got another 400 k's to go, so we'll do that in the morning, do the appointments and stuff at Sydney, go back about 100 k's north of Sydney, see Dangar Stu. We'll go and check out his trawler down there, and then we're gonna head back to where we are now. So we've got about 800 k's to do. We've just driven like 900 k's and we're having awesome greasy roadhouse pies.
They're really good.
How are you feeling after having driven so far?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm pretty tired.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a shower and a sleep, but because we've got to get up at 4 tomorrow.
2,500 k's in 2.5 days.
But we're fueled by pie, so it's fine.
We've been up since 4. It's day 2, and we're about to walk out the door. It's roughly 5 o'clock now. We're all good to go. Yeah, be another long day.
We didn't sleep very well last night. Heard dogs and clicking noises and lots of smelly things that always keeps me awake. So Rose were tossing and turning most of the night, and Mish was a little bit unsettled. So we'll sleep in the car probably, hopefully while it's not moving. We'll stop every now and again and have a little snooze and keep going.
Power on. Staring straight at my head.
Good morning!
Kia ora, bro!
I know we're going somewhere.
So we managed to get down to one of the various places around Sydney Harbour. That's a war memorial. You can sort of see there's a gun emplacement. It's actually a naval gun, it's not a land-based gun. It's off one of the Australian World War II ships, but it's a World War I designed gun. I think it's only one of 3 in the world that's still there. There's a few holes in the ground where they had guns and emplacements and stuff over there, but the reason they had these guns here, that opening there, cliffs on the left hand side, and then you've got sort of beaches and so on the right hand side. Now that's Sydney Harbour behind where I'm standing here, and it's a huge harbour. So that visit to the War Memorial concludes our Sydney trip. We're going to start heading back north, so we've got probably, I don't know, 1,200 kilometres, 1,500 kilometres, something like that, to go between where we're standing right now and Brupeg to get back to her, and we'll do that in about a day and a half. We'll see Stu on the way north, so we're going to Dangar Stu, we're going there right now. If you want to have a look at his channel, there's a link up in the corner of the screen now, click on that.
Oh my god, it's so cute!
Isn't it? So we finally made it to Brooklyn, and we're here checking out Stu's little tugboat.
I'll give you a tour.
Yeah.
Alright.
This is the front.
That's it. You can see it all from one spot.
It's an awesome little boat, mate.
Sorry, if I'd known you were coming. It's quite
so
a small
little.
package for 160 horsepower to sit in.
It's like a concentrated boat.
Concentrated boat, that's it. Yeah, just add water. So getting close. So everything's done here. Just got to put the foot for the rudder back in.
Yeah.
New cutlass bearing.
Yeah, nice. Cool.
And the prop shaft's ready to go. New rudder post. So all that'll go together.
Yep. Yep.
So this is the only, like, not even a proper strainer, just the external filter or the scoop left on the boat.
Yeah.
All the others were missing, just pure
Straight
inlet.
in. Yeah.
And then no strainer in the boat either. So it was just absolutely straight from there to the Jabsco. So whatever you sucked up just went into the pump and that was it. So,
yeah, right.
But it's just sourcing things that fit. Sourcing a cover like that that's the exact right size. Even if I could re-drill a bolt pattern.
Yeah.
like the ones we saw, the oval ones with the more the scoop. They're just
My experience has been you can't buy stuff that fits. You have to buy something that'll work and then modify the boat to
modify
suit.
it or make it from
Yeah.
scratch. Yeah. So these are the bolts we bought up in Bundy. They're replacing for that. So
cool.
nice. I'll get that on over the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
And then so this is the bow roller.
Oh yeah.
And so the idea of cutting the bow
Oh yeah.
like
I
on
see what you mean.
Brupeg. Otherwise, you're kind of either mounting a winch, having it at an angle. I don't know.
I'd leave it up there because your deck's about there somewhere. Eh? Yeah. I'd leave it up there.
Leave it up there.
Yeah. Because otherwise you're only
So close to the waterline.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'll probably go a drum winch.
Yeah. Cool.
And then either mount the drum winch relatively high, so it'll come off that roller, maybe even like another roller further up.
Yeah.
And then just have it angled to the top of the winch.
Let's go look up top.
Yeah.
So this is pretty cool. It's a decent space for a little boat.
It's a bit of space, yeah. Particularly when you just come to things like scuba diving or whatever.
Yeah.
To know you can just sit here and put a wetsuit on without, like a tinny's just too small.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And particularly if we have mods that get rid of this, if I raise it all up, like we were talking about.
Yeah. So
Then
where
this-
are you thinking of changing it? Like
Around about here, from about here.
Yep.
Somewhere just forward of the lazarette hatch.
Yep.
So actually about here. And then all the way aft.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And then, as you say, like, so this is kind of, a bit below hip height.
Yeah.
But then if you had a railing sort of here,
Yeah.
you'd still have that height. And this is actually the worst deck as well. So if I cut this deck right out,
Yeah, I see what you mean. So there's a wee bit of corrosion to deal with. That'll be
exactly.
dealt with if you cut it out.
That's it. Then you just
awesome.
replace it, just get rid of it. Lazarette, which doesn't have a hinge at the moment. Water in there.
Cool.
Where that's coming.
So is this the old sort of net storage type area?
Exactly, yeah, and it's got some shelves and things.
Yep. So one of the ideas that Stu's got is to give the boat a bit more accommodation spaces. Rather than have accommodation in the very front of the boats, which is pretty normal on sort of smaller boats like this, he's having an idea about essentially where this hatch is at the back, cutting the deck sideways sort of across here in front of that hatch, and then lifting it up half the height of these side bulwarks and basically flattening it all off, so you've got sort of a large second cabin down the back end where you've got your accommodation and so on in the back. So it'd really transform the boat, I think, use a lot of that space a lot better than just having a massive storage hold that's difficult to use.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, a little bit of water there, but
This one's got no engine.
yes. So it's
That's a pretty reasonable size engine bay for the size of the boat and everything. Like
It is, but the engine fills it. Like it's
Yeah, right.
just huge compared to the boat.
Yeah.
And painting in there. And then so the plan is just to get rid of all this stuff, just take everything out and have two comfortable chairs facing forward, just be
nice.
done with it. And then that was the other cabin down there that you can see lots of weldings, done the paint job in. So I'm thinking making that into the head and a bit of tool storage.
Yeah, nice. Let's do a bow tour.
Oh yes.
What do you got? I'll race you.
This is the second storage area. So all you've really got is posts there and anchor well, which has an anchor in it. I'm looking forward to the day it's back on the water and I'm just sitting on the mooring, dangling a rod and doing the...
It's a great little size, eh? Just the ability to throw it anywhere. Like, it draws no water.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, on a high tide it came up right up to this wall.
Wow.
And the crane picked it up.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool transition, eh? From a tinny to this.
Yeah. It's huge. It looks like a ship because of that. Because
Yeah,
you've got this
yeah.
accommodation all in one thing,
That's
and then
right,
just
yeah.
space.
Yeah.
You can have like a floating tennis court, all sorts of stuff.
That's our mate Andrew. He's helping out Stu on his boat, and he's been following Brupeg for a while. Say that again?
And Andrew's the new owner of the Green Machines outboard.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully, if it starts. Otherwise, it'll just come back. Go take your stinking outboard back. No, I definitely think we need to get some davits so we can have this on the back of Brupeg.
Oh my god, wouldn't that be hilarious?
It'd be so cool.
It'd be funny to do like Russian doll things, like get a radio controlled one and pull it next to this so it looks really big next to this, and then
My biggest trouble is I've got to find all the bits
yeah.
and put it back together. And that's why I ring you and go, Andrew, what's the pointy bit with the thing on the end? Where does that go?
Describe it. It's blue.
He goes, Stu, it's 3 a.m. Call me tomorrow. I think what you can never do is just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
eating an elephant.
Put one foot front and the other.
Yeah, that's how I eat elephants.
Do you eat elephants cross-legged?
You too. Yes, exactly.
Teaspoon at a
at the
time.
dining table going, anyone for some elephant?
Early morning the following day, we hit the road so that we can get back to Brupeg and get stuck into our jet dinghy. Yeah, so this is one of the land bridges. You can see all of the trees on the top. It's basically designed so that, there you go, trees on top, cars underneath. Animals can go across the top of it. So that's the border between New South Wales and Queensland. I guess we've just gone through customs. That is amazing. Parrots.
Woke up the next morning, glad to be back on Brupeg.
Hey, I heard you want to leave this place where we grew up. This old town, just put it all behind. Remember you and I would always find somewhere to hide when we were kids, so we could see and hear the water run. The river's gonna